Hello everybody and welcome to my September reading wrap up. Spoiler alert, but this is the most books I've ever read in a month. I think I read 13 books, 14 books, 13 books. 13 books? 13! Hey! So, let's get into the books. Hello everybody and welcome to my September wrap up. I have read so many books that I need to talk about because I haven't talked about any of them. The first book I read in September was The Housemaid by Freida McFadden. I read this because of my AI video. This book is about this girl named Millie, and she is a new housekeeper for this really rich family. She's also starting to see some really weird stuff that's happening with the wife, and the worst part is her room that she has to live in, it locks from the outside, so she can't know if she's gonna get locked in her room or not. I really enjoyed this book. I thought it was good and I felt like it was thrilling, but the twist of it all felt very obvious. I think while I was reading it, I didn't really catch it, but looking back on it, I'm like, this twist was very obvious. Why did I not get it? But this was a good book overall. I enjoyed it. I thought it was very fun. It felt very fast paced and I enjoyed it a lot, and I gave it 4 stars. I really enjoyed it. It was a good book. That's really all I have to say. The next book I read was Reckless by Elsie Silver. This is the 4th book of the Chestnut Spring series, and I love this book so much. So this one is about Winter, who is Summer from the first book, her sister. We know Winter as a villain kind of, or not a villain, but we kind of know her as not the greatest character from these books, and to finally get her perspective and get her book was just yes. I loved all the tropes in this. I loved the couple, Theo. I will bow down to that man. I would. The way that he stuck up for Winter every single time, he had her back 110%. I need a man. Well, my man does that to me, but thank you. I loved everything about this book. It was amazing. I loved it. I cannot wait for Beau and Bailey, their little I'm so happy that Bailey gets to be part of the has a bigger role in the series now, and Beau, I've been wanting to read his book for so long. I'm so excited for Hopeless, but Reckless, 5 stars. 5 freaking stars. The next book I have is I read the Mind series by S.T. Abbey. Okay, let me explain this book because I was telling my friend about it and she was like, that sounds crazy, and it is. So this book is about a revenge serial killer and an FBI agent. The thing is, the girl is the serial killer and the FBI agent is the guy. And that's all I'll tell you. These books are crazy. It's a 5-book series, but they're all about 130 pages long. They're not very long as single books, but I read the whole series. This is one of the most insane books I have ever read, especially romance wise. I did kind of feel the romance was very insta-lovey. The romance is really not the major plot of this, because he is an FBI agent that is on her case. Basically, he's trying to figure out her case that she's the serial killer of. If they ended up together or if they didn't, I didn't really care either way. These books are super entertaining, very fast reads. I think I read each book in a day. I gave these books 4 stars. All of the books I gave 4 stars. Those are the books I have for you right now, so I'll see you for the next one. I have finished so many more books since I've seen you. I cannot believe how much this month flew by, and also how many books I read. I'm gonna be talking about the rest of the books that I read this month. Sorry again, I kind of low-key failed again at this, but I always kind of forget the wrap-ups. I'm not gonna lie. The next book that I read was The Atlas 6 by Olivia Blake. This is about 6 people trying to get into this elite society called the Alexandrian Society. It's basically if the Library of Alexandria had never disappeared. This is the society that protects the library and all the knowledge inside of it. So, to be honest, I was not the biggest fan of this book. It started off pretty good, I was pretty interested in it, but then it slowly just got really boring. Nothing happened. I think I got halfway into this book and I was like, what's the point anymore? Nothing is happening. It's very boring. I can't even tell you that the vibes were just so good because I was just bored. I don't know. I just didn't really like this book. It wasn't clicking for me. Like, I had read another book, which I'm about to talk about, in like a day. And like, I knew if I was like, well, if I'm completing another book in a whole day, I think it's not me. I think it's just this book. Like, I'm not vibing with it. I technically DNF'd this book, but I did look up the ending to it and I read the ending of this book. And I don't know, just wasn't impressed. I didn't like any of the characters. The plot was good and then it just got really, really boring and I was like, okay, what was the point? So I gave it 2 stars. Unfortunately, not the biggest fan of this book and I probably will not be picking up the next book in the series. So the next book I read is The Naturals by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. This series has been popping off recently. It's kind of like a teenage version of Criminal Minds. It's about these 5 teens who work with the FBI to solve cold cases, but they kind of get themselves mixed into like real cases, and they each kind of have an ability that is like utilized. So 2 of them are profilers, one of them is like really good at like detecting lies and is really good at telling lies. The other one can read emotions really well, and then the last one is like she's like really good with numbers and statistics and just like very like mathematician-esque kind of things. This is the first book and I love this book. It's also kind of like a love triangle a little bit, although I already know who I'm rooting for. Team Dean all the way, just saying. This is the book that I read, completed in one day. Just like sat down, couldn't stop, read the whole thing like a fiend, and just like, that was good for me, right? I get why so many people love this series because this book was just so much fun. There's a big hair on ya. And the plot twists are so good, like so well thought out, so good. Did not suspect it in my entire life. I would have never guessed. Was amazing. I loved it so much. I gave it 4.5 stars. I almost gave it 5. I love it. I'm reading the second book right now, and so far I'm absolutely obsessed with this series and I'm so excited to continue it. The next book I have is The Last Word by Taylor Adams. This was on my fall TBR, so if you haven't seen that video, you also could check that out. This one is about this woman who has given a 1-star review of this author's work, and this author comes down, tries to stalk her and kill her. You're like, oh wow. And honestly, this book gets so wild, so crazy. You are getting thrown everywhere. You're going this way, you're going that way, you're going this way and that way and upside down, and they're gonna shake you around a little bit and then drop you on the sidewalk. Like, I had no idea what was happening almost the entire book, but I loved it so much. We unravel a plot twist and then we get there and you're like, oh, okay, so that must be it. No, babe. There's like 20 more coming at ya. I've never had a book with so many plot twists before, but they were all so good and I was invested in all of them. And I think I also read this book in a day. Like, I don't think it took me very long to read this one either. Easily one of my favorite mysteries I have ever read. I genuinely was just hooked. And that's my piece on that. I also gave this book 4.5 stars. Like I said, easily rounded up to 5 stars because this is genuinely one of my favorite mysteries I've ever read. Next, I have In a Jam by Kate Canterbury. This one's kind of random. It wasn't really on my radar. I just kind of wanted something to read on my Kindle, and this is on Kindle Unlimited. So this is about a girl named Shay, and her fiance basically doesn't show up on their wedding day and kind of like kicks her to the curb. And so she also finds out that her grandmother has passed away and has given her the farm in this small town. So she goes down to the farm to, you know, get the farm, I guess. I don't know. And while she's there, she reunites with a old high school friend named Noah. Noah has gotten like really hot. And then he also has acquired a child, but it's not his actual child. It is like his niece that he now takes care of. And that's really about it. Noah owns a really big business. He basically owns like a lot of like farming stuff, and Shay is kind of just down there to figure out her life. She doesn't really know what's going on anymore, so she's just kind of there figuring out her life, and that's really about it. I thought this book was cute, but it wasn't like, I guess maybe when I was reading this book, it wasn't like satisfying the quench really, but like I couldn't really tell you anything I really exponentially loved about this. It was just a nice fun story. I don't think it was anything like crazy, but I didn't think it was bad, you know? The guy in this is definitely like, he rich, he buff, he cute, and he's obsessed with me. Like, what else do you want, babe? I like Shay, but she just seemed very one-dimensional compared to Noah, and Shay just kind of was like a I'm here kind of person to me, at least. But besides that, the story as a whole was just to me. It was fine, it was good, it was cute, so I gave it 3 stars. I would still recommend it if you do like single parent trope. Next, I have one of my most anticipated reads of 2023, and that is Things We Left Behind by Lucy Score. Now, you may have saw my reading vlog I'm just promoting this shit out of myself. Sorry. I did a reading vlog over Things We Left Behind, so if you want to hear a lot more detail and a lot more thoughts, go check that out. I am not gonna lie, guys, I'm a little disappointed. I was really excited about Lucien and Sloane's story, and not that I hated this book, like, oh my god, Lucy Score, what the f***? Like, that's not me. That was me in Things We Hide from the Light, though. Not in this one. In that one, okay? I still had a good time reading it. There were just like certain plot points and certain things that had transpired in this book that I was like, what? Where did that come from, you know? There are like some things I'm not the biggest fan of, but like it was still good. I still liked it. I think also having really high expectations and just loving the first book so much, and the first book alluding to this book, I just thought this book would be so much better. I had such high expectations. Doesn't mean it was bad, just wished it was better. So I gave it 3.5 stars. Go check out the reading vlog. I worked hard on it. I like it too, it's funny. Do that. And the last book that I have for right now, if I read more, I don't know, is Commonwealth by Ann Patchett. And this one seems kind of random because it kind of is. But this story is about a family who the mom and a dad, like the how do I explain this? So this one is about a family where the mom and another person have an affair, and this kind of brings these two families together. It's about a bunch of people. Everybody in this family, there are basically, how many people are there involved? Like 4 parents and 6 kids, I believe. And we get a lot of different point of views. Well, it's told in the 3rd person narrative, so technically we don't get like a 1st person, like, point of view of everyone, but I feel like the person that we follow the most is one of the kids, and her name is Franny. I don't know, it's kind of told kind of weird. Like, we get like flashbacks all of a sudden, and then sometimes you don't realize you're reading a flashback, and then you're like, oh, this is a flashback, and then all of a sudden we're in present day, and you're like, oh, we're in present day now, and then you're like, who the hell are we following? Are we following this character right now? Are we getting this character's perspective? Or are we getting this character's backstory? It's kind of hard to follow, I think. There's like no breaks in the scene. It just kind of goes from a paragraph to a paragraph. It kind of gives Sally Rooney in that sense, where if you're not paying attention, you're not going to know what the hell is going on. Also, it was just kind of boring. I think there was one really good scene with the flashbacks, but a lot of the present day parts were very boring. It kind of like didn't really serve a purpose, in my opinion. I guess more in the sense that we get to see where the kids are now, because they had a fucked up childhood. I don't know how these kids didn't get CPS called on them. All of the parents are awful in this book. Not a single one of them are a good parent. They might have some good tendencies, but all of them are bad in my opinion. I don't know. It was hard to follow. It's kind of confusing, and it was kind of boring. Like, the flashback scenes were good if we got them, but for the most part, I just like wasn't too crazy about this book. I thought it was kind of good, but like also not. I don't know. I gave this book 2.5 stars, and I also think this book may just not have been for me either, but I don't know. Those are the books that I have right now. I'm not sure if I will see you again, but if I do, then I'll see you real soon. So I didn't read any more books. That was it. This was the last book that I read in September. So I hope you guys enjoyed this reading wrap up, and I will see you in my next video.